I paid off the mortgage on a Thursday. The confirmation email from the bank arrived at 9:14 a.m. I read it twice before closing the laptop. Balance. Done. It didn't feel dramatic, just quiet. My parents had lived in that house for 27 years. I'd spent most of my childhood there, including the years when money was tight enough that the house sometimes felt like a fragile thing, something that could disappear if the wrong bill arrived at the wrong time. When my dad lost his job 15 years ago, the bank almost took it. I was the one who stepped in then. Co-signed the refinance, helped restructure the loan, moved some of the financial responsibility under my name because the bank wouldn't approve it otherwise. It was supposed to be temporary. But temporary arrangements have a way of becoming permanent when everyone grows comfortable with them. Over the years I paid extra toward the balance when I could. Quietly. No announcements. The final payment felt like finishing a long, practical task. I planned to tell them at their anniversary dinner the following weekend. Just hand them the letter from the bank. No speech. No expectation. Just something good. Saturday afternoon my phone buzzed with a group text from my brother Brian. A photo appeared first. My childhood bedroom. The same faded blue walls. The same window facing the maple tree in the backyard. Except the bed was gone. "So we're giving this room to Claire," Brian wrote. "She'll need a place to stay once the wedding planning starts." Claire was his fiancée. Before I could respond, another message appeared. "Unlike some people, she actually contributes to this family." 3 dots appeared as my mother typed. Then her message landed. "Don't make this awkward. Just be grateful you were ever included." I read the thread a few times. It wasn't exactly anger I felt. More like the slow recognition of something I should have understood earlier. The house. The mortgage. The countless small financial things I'd handled over the years. None of it had ever really counted in the way I thought it might. In the group chat, I typed a single word. Noted. Then I muted the conversation. That evening I sat at my kitchen table with a folder of documents. Mortgage statements, refinancing agreements, property records. The paperwork was old enough that the ink had started fading in places, but the important detail was still clear. Because I had co-signed during the refinance, the bank had structured the loan differently than my parents realized. The title remained tied to me until the loan was fully discharged, which it now was. I made 3 phone calls. The first was to the bank. I confirmed the mortgage payoff and asked them to prepare the final ownership documents tied to the refinancing agreement. The representative sounded routine about it. For them, it was just another file closing. The second call was to the management office of the gated community where my parents lived. The property account was under my name. "Please update the authorized access list," I said. "Of course," the woman replied. The third call was to the phone provider handling our family plan. I had opened that account years earlier because it bundled with my own service. "Please remove the additional lines effective immediately." Not a problem. Each call took less than 10 minutes. None of them felt emotional, just administrative. 2. The first sign something had changed came the next morning. My father called from a neighbor's phone. "Our gate fob isn't working," he said. The background noise sounded like the entrance to the community, cars idling, someone talking to security. "I updated the property account," I said. A pause followed. "What does that mean?" "It means the access permissions changed." Another pause. "You're joking." "I'm not." Later that day my mother tried calling me. Except her phone no longer had service. By Sunday afternoon the bank had scheduled a meeting with my parents to finalize the mortgage discharge documents. That was when they learned the full structure of the agreement. When my father called again that evening, his voice sounded different. Quieter. "They said the house is legally in your name." "It's tied to the refinance," I said. "But we paid the mortgage for years." "Wes!" Silence stretched between us. Finally he asked, "Why are you doing this?" I thought about the group text. About the photo of my empty bedroom. I'm not taking the house, I said. I'm changing the arrangement. We met 2 days later in their living room. My mother sat stiffly on the couch. Brian stood near the window, arms folded. I placed a folder on the coffee table. Inside were copies of the documents the bank had prepared. I'm transferring the property responsibility back to you, I said. Utilities, taxes, everything. I'll sign the title transfer once the new financing is arranged. My mother stared at the papers. You're punishing us. No, I said quietly. I'm stepping out of the role I've been filling. Brian scoffed. All this because of a room. I shook my head. No, because of what the room represented. No one spoke for a while. Finally my father sighed. So what happens now? You take over the house. The bills. Everything. And you. I'll visit sometimes, I said. If it makes sense. A few weeks later the bank confirmed the new mortgage arrangement under my parents' names. My involvement ended with a single signature. After that, the house was entirely theirs again. Responsibility included. The group chat stayed quiet for a long time, not hostile, just cautious. And for the first time in years, I noticed something unusual about my finances at the end of the month. There were no unexpected transfers, no emergency payments, no quiet responsibilities no one else seemed to notice. The silence felt unfamiliar, but not empty, more like space, and I realized the first real step hadn't been the phone calls. It had been understanding that loyalty doesn't require disappearing inside someone else's idea of family.